Okay, so we are on day 5, lesson 4.2. Hopefully you guys have your homework from yesterday. We're going to look at it on Monday, so we're not going over it right now. But the reason we gave it to you yesterday was so if you were on top of it, you'd get the majority of it done. We did give you a little bit more extra. I gave you more information yesterday because I felt like with my first class and 4th hour that without that help they really weren't able to do any of the homework. So you guys should have been able to do some slope work. We're going to get through, and I really feel like if you guys are focusing and paying attention and participating, we'll get through today's lesson, and then I'll give you your homework. You should get a bunch of it done. So, warm up. First thing, this is kind of a review, something we should know how to do, but how can we simplify 6 halves, 6 over 2? Well, we can see that 6 halves is an improper fraction, so I have to decide, do I want to simplify it to just an improper fraction? Do I want to make it a mixed number? Or what? So we're going to look at it. What do you think we could do first? Okay. And how am I going to do that? Okay. On this case, it works out pretty easy where we always divide our numerator by our denominator. So this is like 6 divided by 2. And on this one, it just simplifies to the whole number 3. It's a very easy one. We don't want to write it. We don't want to write it as 3 over 1. We could if we're doing slope and stuff, but it's easiest just to write it as 3 whole. All right, number 2. How are we going to go ahead and simplify 8 over 28? Okay, divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. 28 divided by 2 gives me 14. Am I all the way simplified, or can I go more?
Go more.
Okay, what can I divide by now? 2. Okay, another 2. Switch colors so we see it. Since they're both even, we get 2 over 7. Can that simplify? No, in one way, I know that's difficult for us to understand if we're all the way simplified or not. One way is if one or both of our numbers is a prime number. Remember, prime can only be multiplied by 1 in itself. The only thing that goes into 7 is 1 times 7. The only thing that goes into 2 is 1 times 2. If one of them becomes prime and it cannot go to the other number, then you know you're done. What do we know about the word slope? Let's just discuss that right now. We don't really have to write anything down. But what do we know about slope?
Wait,
Ainsley?
I don't know if this is right, but the amount something falls, I don't know what it is. Yeah, this.
Okay, I like
The decline of it.
Okay, the decline. The only thing I'm going to say is, does it always have to be declining?
No.
So it could be going up, inclining. That is one of the things we're going to get out of what?
The climb that it is.
The climb that it is.
No, climb now.
Oh, climb.
Like the incline.
I thought you said the climb. Like I'm thinking Miley Cyrus and the whole climb. It's.
What?
Oh man. Oh yeah. She knows it. So. Okay, that's one good thing. And you're right on with that. Where slope, it's called about the steepness. And we're going to talk about the steepness of a line. And when we say steepness of a line, it could either be going down or it could be going up. We could have it going either way. It does not matter. Of course I'm pulling up the Lance tool. Okay, so if we go ahead and look at today's lesson, it says, I can find and interpret the slope of a line. So today, I'm going to adjust your homework, but your homework is going to be based off, you can find the slope for a graph, or if it is just coordinate points. If you're paying attention today, I promise you, you can do this. It is not a difficult concept today. in our lesson 4.2, our key vocabulary words that we do need to know. We do need to know the words slope, rise, and run. And when we read this one, it says the slope, or M, of a line is the value of the ratio change in y, the rise, to the change in x, the run, between any 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2. So here, I need you to open up your OneNote so you can do notes with us. Grab a paper. So, when we look at this, it's really not too difficult. What they were telling us is there's two methods that we want to really remember. M is going to stand for slope. So when we write our slope intercept forms, which you guys are going to see here pretty soon in a couple lessons, we're going to say M in our equation, and that stands for our slope, for the steepness of the line. And we find slope by our rise over our run. And you always want to put them in the correct way. The rise is how high up or down something is going. And that is going to be based off our change in y. And we find the change, you might even see sometimes on a lesson, instead of change, they do this little triangle thing. That's called the delta of y. And delta stands for change. So they're asking, how much does y change? Well, if we think about that real quick, that makes sense, right? Like, here's this point right here, and here's this point. If we're asking about the rise, all we're asking you is, how much did it change? How much did it go from one spot? How high did it go? Or if it started up high, how far down did it go? So we just want to need that change in y. We find that by y2 minus y1. And this is the part that gets kind of tricky to some people. If I look at this green line right now, you see how they had this one as x1, y1, and this one as x2, y2? That's really, really important. How did they know that this first point was x1, y1? Why is this one x1, y1? You're right, it's the first point. How do I know it's the first point? It's the first point based off of what? When we look from the left, it's the first point on the left. So I can choose any point. I mean, if I would have chosen this point right here, this would have become x1, y1. But it's whatever point we've marked down, and it's the first one when we look left to right, just like we read a book. That's very important for today's lesson, because if you do it the opposite way, your slope's going to end up wrong. Okay? So, here's what we're going to look at. Here's my first point. Here's the second point. And I'm doing rise over run. The first thing is, I'm going to look at the change in y. So, y2 minus y1, and that's shown here in this red line. How high up it went. The run was x2 from here to x1. How far did this go over? And when you put those as a fraction, that is called your slope. Okay? It's the steepness. How high is it going and over what distance? To do this, there's two methods that I said we're going to use, and it's very, very easy. I'm going to do A for you, and then I'm going to have you guys try B. So pay attention A. I'm going to do the first method. The first one, I'm going to continually rewrite this so we don't forget it. Rise all over run. And remember, if we go up, it's a positive. If we go down, it's a negative. So I'm going to say like down is a negative, up is our positive. Left is our negative, right is our positive. I'm going to start this first point, and here's my coordinates. I'm doing my rise run y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Okay, here comes the easy part. Just put in the numbers. Here's the first set of coordinate points. We agree with that? It's the first one on the left. So that means this is x1, this is y1. 3, 4, this is x2, this is y2. Let's just put our numbers in. So I need y2, which was 4. 4 minus y1 was a negative 1. We're going to put that all over x2. x2 was 3 minus x1. x1 was negative 3. And then we solve. Well, if I do 4 minus a negative 1, remember, subtracting a negative is like, good, adding the positive. So 4 plus 1 is 5. And then 3 minus negative 3 is
6.
Good. We are done. Our slope is 5, 6 because that fraction cannot simplify. Sierra, I need you to turn and face in front so you can pay attention and do this. I'm going over this. You're not doing the notes. You're not focusing. You have this copied down? You can either choose to pay attention or you got to go somewhere else. Okay, that is the harder way. This is the long, and is that real hard to do, you think?
Yes.
It's not real difficult. We gave you all the information. All you have to do is do the effort and do this. I would use this method, me personally, y2 minus y1 over x2 over x1, or minus x1, when they give me 2 coordinates. But if I have it drawn, there's an easier method. Easier method is, I'm going to start at my first point, and I'm going to find the rise, the top fraction. I rise. I'm going to go from this point to this point, and I can only go straight up and then straight over. So I'm going to count how many squares I have to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm on that same X line, right? So that took me 5. Then I'm going to count run. I'm going to the right, so it's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My slope is 5, 6. If they graphed it for you, you're able to count. The only thing you have to look for is if you have to simplify your fraction. So, let's have you, right now, I want you to try this one. They give us this other stuff to kind of help you with the counting, but we are looking at this line, and we're going through this point and this point. Here are your coordinates that I'm giving you. I'll even write up the equation y2 minus y1 x2 minus x1. Alright, I'm going to pause recording. I want you to work on this. Show me your work. Alright, so what do we get the slope to be? And we're willing to give up their answer. Ainsley?
I have 3 over 2. 3 over me. Oh.
I have negative
3 over me.
What did you say? Which one? What's the same thing?
The 3, negative 3, 2, and 3 and 9.
Alright, good. I'll talk to you about this in just a second. This and this are the same. Even though it is, but it isn't. up here you're saying you're going to go down 3 and right 2. Here you're saying I'm going to go up 3, but I'm going to go left 2. We'll talk why those will be similar. But do I need a negative on this? Yes or no?
Yes, because you're going left too.
Because I'm going left as well.
You're going
And
down.
then required rise is going to be as you get, it'll go up and then down.
It's going down.
This one has to be one of these two.
Does the same thing.
But it's not, and here's why.
It's negative.
No, these two are the same, the negatives. When you had just 3, 2,
No, I'm saying that you said it's one of those two, but they're the same thing.
No, it's not.
yeah,
It's negative 3 over
So
2.
could it just be?
and I'm going to show you why. The reason this one does not work
Well, I know.
is because if we were on this point, this says to rise 3. 1, 2, 3, run 2. 1, 2. It says we have a coordinate here. This line would have been like this. Except it would have been a straight line and there would have been one. So we know that cannot be correct.
Crash.
What?
It crashed.
Oh. I was like, what in the world?
You've been doing that to me all the time.
It's
So-
literally happening to me right now. That's
What
why
we're
I'm
going
like-
to do is I know that one's wrong. Here's the one that I would have said is the best answer, but we could take any. We started at this one, and when I go from this point to this point, I'm going to go down. And when I'm going to go down, that means I'm going to go negative. My rise is going to be a negative. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go 2 over. 1, 2.
I did it though.
So n equals negative 3 over 2 is good. However, the reason we can say 3 negative 2 is same thing. Let's start here. This one tells me my rise should be a positive 3. 1, 2, 3. But then it's a negative 2, which means goes left 2. 1, 2. It would fall on that line. So the reason is you can put your negative on the numerator or the denominator, and it will not matter. It just is telling you which way are you going on your slope. I'm going to scroll down on this like I did with my other class because I want you guys to see something on this. Right here. We have 4 slopes that we need to know. A positive slope. A positive slope is a slope that is going to rise when we read it left to right. That line is going up this way. It's a positive one. This is one that like people of stock market and businesses looking at their profit like to see because they're saying, we're making money, it's going up, our value's going up. The negative slope falls as it goes left to right. It's going down and it's going into this quadrant 4. So this is a negative, and the thing I'm going to write up here is you are going to have a negative y over x. When you found your slope, the y is...
Yeah,
I don't know if it does it the same way.
I tried here.
I did. We need to update that computer seconds. Oh.
Alright, then the other two, these are 2 special ones. The first one is the slope of 0. This is when your line is horizontal. A horizontal line has no slope. It's flat. It's like standing on our ground right now. If I was on roller skates and I stood there, I wouldn't roll anywhere because I'm on flat, solid ground. Here, the slopes that go down, you say slope is 0. You will have this when your numerator is 0. my x can end up being any term I want it to be. This one is usually written as x equals, and you can mainly say any number you want it to be. But y, yeah. So if I said x was 3, then I'm going to say, like, if I go over 3, it could be here. It could be -2, and that could be here. It's going to put it right here.
I mean, for the y.
For the y?
Yeah, the y is the same number.
Yes. The y would have to be the same number. So when we write this one, x can be any number we want. But if I wrote this equation, I said y equals 2. When I read it like that, that's how I'm going to graph it. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go up 2. I'm going to go up 2. I'm going to go up 2.
She can't figure it out.
So my coordinates, my x can be any number, but y is equal to the number. And the last one. It's kind of funny because they tell us this is the bad word of algebra. It's undefined. And the reason is this undefined is a vertical line. Our vertical line is when our denominator is going to be a 0. And if we've worked with fractions at all, can we ever have a 0 for a denominator? No. So that one we don't have. You will have to, on your assignments and tests, when you graph this, you are going to have to say undefined. So when I look for this one, slope of 0, the equation is going to look like y equals, and you can write any number you want. Undefined is x is equaling a number. Okay, let's go back to number 1 and 2. I'm going to finish these, and then I'm going to try and give you guys some work time. So, number 1, we're going to do it both ways. When we do number 2, I'm going to give dum-dums out to people that can show me one way and a dum-dum to the person that shows me the other way. I'm going to model number 1, and I'm going to do the longer one. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, I look left to right. Here's my first term. So this is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. I'm going to input y2 is 2. So I'm going to say 2 minus, and 3 is y1. I'm going to even highlight this. So that's what I have here. And now to do my x. x2 was 3. And I'm going to subtract. x1 was -2. And we saw 2 minus 3 is -1. 3 minus -2, well, that's like adding a positive. 1/5, so I should write m equals -1/5. Remember, m stands for slope. Okay, last part I'm going to show. If I was to do the easier method, I would have, let me erase this. I would have started here, and I'm going to look at my rise, and I'm going to go down. So that tells me negative. I went down 1. And I'm going to go right, so it's positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want you right now find the slope.
Yeah.
Wow.
Alright. Well, pause this. Alright. Alex, you're going to do one of them. Which one do you want to do?
Savage.
Do you want to find the slope through the subtraction or the counting? Alright, come up and do it.
Bro, he's taller than you.
Oh, he's even doing the simplified for us.
Oh, spooky boy got some milk.
Perfect. Alright, so Alex did it perfect.
Charlie, stop taking my stuff.
You can now do the subtraction one.
I can't.
Oh.
I don't even know how to do the first one.
Molly?
I can try it.
Okay.
I like your headpiece. Thanks.
Do you like these?
He's just jealous. Yeah, mosquito
It's a squiggle.
Yeah.
No.
I'm thinking. We're not laughing at you.
We're laughing. Yeah, we weren't laughing.
You. They were laughing at you. All of you guys.
So Molly, what's the equation that we're going to do though?
2y minus.
Y2. So not 2 times y, just y2. What's our second y? Which one's our second point? That one is 2, 1, right? So what's our second y? What's the y?
Oh, so then that would minus. Wait, so it would be minus 1, which is 1, right?
No, hold on. You're not doing 2, 1. Just out of 2 and 1, which one's the y coordinate?
1.
Okay, so you're going to write down your 1.
I love it. Stop.
We were singing that song.
And then we have y2 minus y1. So you're going to say 1 minus. And then where's our first y coordinate?
That's the clean
Okay, so then you're going to put negative 1 all over. No, put it all over first up.
I have a big toe.
Yep. Okay, then we have x2 minus x1, which is our second x coordinate.
2.
Okay, so you say 2 minus, and what's our first x coordinate? Alright, now let's solve this. Now, 1 minus negative 1. When we minus a negative, we...
Negative minus negative is negative.
But it's a...
Oh, but it's a positive. So, it would be a negative. Or no, it would just be 0, though, right?
No,
We should-
negative plus negative. You draw a line and add it.
That's 2.
That's 6.
Good. So we get 2 6. Alright, now, last thing I'm going to go over is, we still have the 2 6. But I can simplify that to 1/3. But here's what I want us to see. Okay. Last part that I want you guys to recognize. If paying attention, not messing around. If I was to choose this one point here, and I follow my line, I'm going to look for another coordinate point, and I'm going to look for one that crosses the grid lines evenly. Sierra, do I need to move you? Okay, you're not focusing, and you needing to do this. So, I'm going to follow along here, this line. Is this an even place right here that I know the coordinate? No, because it's not funny. Is this one?
No.
How about this one?
Yeah.
Ah, so I'm going to go with that. When I choose the first one, it makes this whole equation easier. Rise, 1. Why is this not? I'm gonna.
The last one.
Is it gonna crash?
What is going on? It's probably gonna crash.
If you see real,
Please crash.
There's one, and then 1, 2, 3 to the right. Notice, notice that because I chose that first point along the line, I picked out 2 of the first coordinates that I did not have to simplify my fraction. Where when I went here, I ended up with 2/6. If I would have went over here and went to the next one, I would have even got a bigger number. I probably would have got like 4/12. So if you pick the first one, it makes it easiest. Your assignment for Monday. We looked at this stuff. This was just more with some of this. You do want to look at parallel lines. How can I tell if a line is parallel, do you think? Oh, I got a few people that are not ready. George Parker, this is on your homework today, so I need you to focus.
If the slopes are equivalent fractions.
Good. On your assignment today, Parker, they're going to ask you which lines are parallel. All you have to do is find the slope of each line, and if the slope is the same, you know they're parallel. Here it is. In blue line, its slope was -4 over 1, or -4 over -1, or the slope was 4. When I went to here, I had 5. And when I went to the green line, I went 4. It looks like they're all parallel, but they're not. Which 2 lines are parallel? Oh man, what happened now?
Awesome.
Okay, which 2 lines are parallel between my blue, red, and green? Blue has a slope of 4, red has a slope of 5, green has a slope of 4. Blue, Parker. Well, this is the 3rd time I'm asking you to stop and pay attention. The slope of the blue line is 4, and the slope of the green line is 4. These 2 lines will never cross. The red one, even though it's just small, the slope, it looks like it, but it's coming in at just a small enough angle that it's going to continue until it does cross. So, if the slope is the same, that means they are parallel. Alright, your homework. I'm changing it from what it was.
Yay!
Because I'm wanting to assess you on, do you know how to find slope?
Great.
So, I'm taking away all this first part. I'm taking 1 through 8 all the way off. If you've already done some of that, because you did on yesterday, that's fine. I'm going to give you something extra later. You do have to do 9 through 24. On 9 through 24, on 9 through 22, you are finding slope. And then on 23 and 24, you are finding parallel lines, what I just talked about. Then, I want you to do 36. Then I want you to do 36 through 41. Girls, or I can just say forget it, do all of your worksheet. Because as I'm going over this, I have people just talking about what is going on in PE. I have Wade that's deciding to get up and walk around the room to throw stuff away.
Wow.
This is not what you should be doing. So, your homework, this worksheet is due Monday. It is a completion grade. 9 through 24, 36 through 41.